Hey everyone, What If Fan here, bringing you another exciting part of What If Transmigrated as a Kanto gym leader. You can find the fanfic title and the original author's name on my Patreon page. Make sure to check it out and show them some love. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. Alright, let's jump into it. Chapter 276, If Only I Had a Legendary Pokemon. Looks like you're no longer able to dance. Aizen turned away, his gaze drifting toward Giovanni and Dylan. With Mutwo's support, Giovanni was formidable, but against the terastallized Terrapagos and Reshiram, he was clearly at a disadvantage. Even though Dylan had instructed his Pokemon to hold back slightly, the tide of the battle was tipping in his favor. Seems things are getting tricky on your end, Barragan. I can't play around much longer, Aizen murmured, his eyes narrowing. Aizen, we won't let you pass, Agatha declared firmly. She hadn't expected this. They'd assumed sheer numbers would overwhelm Aizen, but Mega Rayquaza had exceeded all expectations. Now, it was their side that might not last. They could count on Dylan to take down the Rocket Boss, but the real problem was stopping Aizen. They had to delay him, at any cost. Hearing Agatha's words, Cynthia, Red, and the others summoned their next set of Pokemon. They couldn't defeat Rayquaza, but they could stall. Oh? Aizen chuckled softly. Still haven't realized the difference between us? Fine. I'll make it crystal clear. He pulled out another Pokeball. With a flash of white light, a pale green Pokemon landed beside him. Mutwo? Lance frowned. Aizen had another Mutwo? Giovanni's eyes twitched. Another Mutwo? And this one was shiny? A different color? Where the hell did this one come from? Was this the second one, or was his the second? His mind reeled. He'd always believed Mutwo was the Rocket Team's ultimate creation, a one-of-a-kind miracle. They had engineered a legendary with free will. A monumental achievement. And now you're telling him, there's another one? Born from Mew again? Bullshit. It shouldn't be possible. Rocket's Mutwo raised a barrier of psychic energy, blocking Terrapagos' attack, and locked eyes with the shiny Mutwo. Its gaze flickered. This was its true kin. Mew? Even if Mew beat it, Mutwo would never accept that pink blob as family. Mutwo, Aizen called calmly. The shiny Mutwo glanced briefly at Rocket's Mutwo, then activated its Megastone. In a flash of light, it shrank and transformed. Mega Mutwo Y hovered silently at Aizen's side, an aura of cold, immense pressure radiating from its form. Though smaller, it was clear this version was far more dangerous. Mutwo can Mega Evolve too? Giovanni's eyes lit up. That was news to him. Mutwo! Aizen called again. The tiny Mega Mutwo Y turned to face Agatha and her team. Its eyes glowed with deep indigo psychic energy as it raised one hand. A wave of unseen force swept out. Gengar, Pikachu, Arbok, Jinx, every one of their Pokemon was suddenly suspended in midair. What? How is it this strong? Even Agatha was stunned. Her Gengar and Arbok couldn't move an inch. And not just hers, Red's, Cynthia's 11 Pokemon total were caught in the psychic grip, helpless no matter how hard they struggled. This was psychic. Mega Mutwo Y's eyes gleamed again. Its hand thrust forward. Boom! A wave of pure psychic force erupted outward, a tangible shockwave flattening the air. Even the sky dimmed. The blast of wind nearly knocked the trainers off their feet. This power. Agatha's heart sank. This Mutwo was terrifying. Thud, thud, thud. All 11 Pokemon crashed to the ground, unconscious. TCH. Blue inhaled sharply. Terrifying. It doesn't matter who you send. Against my Mega Rayquaza and Mega Mutwo Y, resistance is meaningless, Aizen said calmly. Trying not to crush ants as you step over them is a difficult power to control.
Pointless resistance has no value. I hope you understand that now. He turned and began walking toward Giovanni. Time to wrap this up. Agatha sighed.
She wanted to stop him, but the power gap was too great.
Everything now depends on Dylan.
She looked toward him. Over on Dylan's side, the tide had clearly turned, he had the upper hand. Terrapagos, stellar storm. The crystallized Terrapagos glowed, unleashing a storm of gemstone beams toward Mutwo. Mutwo snapped back to awareness, trying to raise a shield. But too late. Just then, a blue light blurred into view and shielded Mutwo. Psychic. The attack was intercepted and shattered. Mutwo's eyes flickered as it stared at the small figure of Mega Mutwo Y, its true kin. Mega Mutwo Y turned and gave it a nod, then focused again on Terrapagos. Dylan's eyes narrowed. Aizen. He stared at Aizen standing beside Giovanni. His gaze flicked between Mega Mutwo Y and the floating Mega Rayquaza. You're struggling, Barragan, Aizen observed, glancing at Mutwo and Beedrill. I'm no match for Dylan, but things seem to be going well on your end, Giovanni replied, giving a tired smile. He eyed the approaching group.
Dylan. Lance, Agatha, are you all okay? Dylan asked. We're fine. But we can't beat Aizen, Agatha admitted. It's up to you now. No problem. I've got this. Kyurem. Dylan tossed another ball. Roar. Kyurem's cry shook the battlefield. The legendary Ice Dragon. Gita's eyes gleamed with wonder. No wonder Dylan had dared to dive into Area Zero alone. Dylan. Go. Wipe that guy out.
Blue was practically waving flags at this point, cheering wildly.
Heh, Aizen smiled faintly. Kyurem.
Terrapagos.
Dylan's expression sharpened. Roar. Kyurem crackled with lightning as it rose into the sky. Black Kyurem, facing down Mega Rayquaza.
Terrapagos' jewel light gleamed as it shifted into its stellar form, facing Mega Mutwo Y.
4 legendary Pokémon.
Their combined pressure made it hard to breathe. Even the air felt heavy.
So powerful, Giovanni murmured. Dylan and Aizen were both terrifying. Human, I want to Mega Evolve too. Mutwo appeared beside Giovanni, eyes burning. It couldn't accept standing back while its kin fought.
It needed the strength to fight side by side.
Giovanni fell silent.
This was new information, he had no Megastone for Mutwo. We'll ask Aizen afterward, he muttered. He wanted to know where Aizen had gotten this Mutwo too. Professor Fuji, perhaps? He frowned. It wasn't impossible. Fuji and Blaine had both left Team Rocket long ago. Aizen, you're not leaving Saffron today. Dylan declared. Don't be too hasty. You still have to defeat Rayquaza and Mutwo first. Aizen replied with a soft laugh. Rayquaza, Dragon Ascent. Mutwo, Psystrike. Rayquaza coiled in the sky, green light glowing around its form. Mega Mutwo Y rose into the air, forming a massive orb of violet energy. Kyurem, Freeze Shock. Terrapagos, Stellar Storm. Dylan didn't hesitate. Kyurem roared, shrouded in swirling blue-violet energy and icy mist, Freeze Shock. Rayquaza unleashed Dragon Ascent, a green beam streaking down from above. Boom! Dragon Ascent collided with Freeze Shock midair. The two forces tore into each other, an explosive whirlwind of color blasting outward, shrouding the sky in green and purple energy. Below, Mega Mutwo Y's Psystrike launched downward. Terrapagos fired off its crystalline star's Stellar Storm. Boom boom boom. The starry barrage exploded against Psystrike, each impact shaking the earth and ears alike. Buildings nearby crumbled under the pressure. Was it minutes, or mere seconds? Rayquaza and Kyurem both reeled back from the clash, neither defeated. Below, the psychic and gemstone attacks had also clashed evenly. So strong, as expected. Aizen smiled and clapped lightly.
Only you, Dylan, could be my equal. But alas, the hour grows late. He sounded genuinely regretful. You're trying to run again? Dylan narrowed his eyes. The time's not right yet. But our battle is inevitable. This was fun. Farewell, everyone. Until next time. Rayquaza descended. Mutwo lifted Aizen and Giovanni with Psychic, setting them atop the dragon. You're not getting away. Dylan shouted. Kyurem! Kyurem surged forward. But Mega Mutwo Y turned, eyes glowing deep blue. It extended its hand toward the distance. A 7-story building trembled then, under their stunned gazes, was ripped from the ground, glowing blue. Mega Mutwo Y hurled the entire skyscraper at Kyurem. What the hell is that? Blue was speechless. Using a whole building as a weapon? Was this really just psychic power? Kyurem snarled, unleashing an icy blast that froze the building mid-air. I guess this round is yours. Until next time. Aizen's smooth voice echoed as Mega Rayquaza took off into the sky. Mega Mutwo Y gave them all one final look, then shot upward after it. Silence fell. Sorry, Agatha. I couldn't stop them, Dylan said softly. It's not your fault. Agatha's voice was hoarse. It was their failure, they hadn't bought him enough time. At the very least, the League won this battle. She looked around at the ruined city. Rubble everywhere. Destruction unmatched. But still, they'd won. Lance's face was a storm cloud. Won? Sure. But not completely. If I had a legendary. His fists clenched. This battle made it painfully clear if he wanted to destroy Team Rocket for good. He needed a legendary Pokémon. He would get one. No matter what. Chapter 277, you actually look pretty good. Just outside Saffron City, on a grassy hillside. Zinnia sat in the field while Karen leaned lazily against a nearby tree. Roar! The cry of a dragon echoed through the sky as Mega Rayquaza descended. Aizen and Giovanni stepped off its back. That's the end of it, then. Giovanni turned his gaze toward the distant silhouette of Saffron City, his heart filled with complex emotions. Team Rocket and Kanto had been buried in the region's most prosperous city. You've all done well. Giovanni shook off his thoughts, glancing at Aizen and the others with a faint smile. Without their help, the Saffron battle would never have come this far, not with his strength alone. It was fun, Karen said, brushing her wavy hair back with a grin. And I was paid, after all. She wasn't one to sit around quietly. A battle this intense against the Kanto League? Yeah, she lived for that kind of excitement. Since you guys made it out in one piece, I'll take off. If you need help with something crazy, call me. She gave a playful wave to Aizen and Giovanni. Of course, I expect to be compensated. Bye-bye, bosses. Even though things hadn't exactly gone smoothly and her partner Will ended up in jail, it wasn't a total loss. Karen glanced down at the shimmering feather in her hand. Rainbow Wing. With this, her mentor wouldn't be too hard on her. What are you going to do next? Aizen asked, watching Karen disappear from view. I still have things I need to finish, Giovanni replied, his gaze somber. Thank you, Aizen, for your help. No need to thank me. Honestly, it was your guts that got me interested, declaring war on the League. Ballsy move. And hey, Leaf didn't lie. I had a blast. Aizen smiled faintly, his voice as smooth and soothing as ever. Giovanni nodded thoughtfully. Something about Aizen and Dylan, they were oddly similar. Their personalities, their calm intensity, uncanny. Aizen, about your Mutwo. A lucky encounter. But I must admit, I am quite intrigued by yours. Aizen glanced toward Giovanni's Mutwo, eyes glinting with curiosity. Mutwo's eyes glowed blue with psychic energy. Giovanni hesitated, then asked. How did yours mega evolve? A mega stone. I found one and gave it to use on its own. Just as I thought, Giovanni murmured. Mega evolution required a stone, of course it did. Well, if that's that, I'll be on my way. Aizen checked the time. They'd been at this for hours. The saffron battle was wild, definitely worth it. If you ever need help again, feel free to contact me. You too, Miss Zinnia. Giovanni smiled. If he was still alive by then. At that thought, his expression darkened slightly. He was running out of time. I have to get new medicine. Once they were gone, Giovanni pulled out a bottle of pills, downing two. His breath hitched, this wasn't sustainable. There was an old pharmacy in Cyanwood City, Johto. Maybe they could help slow things down. He'd have to go. And then find silver. That was Giovanni's last remaining obsession. No matter what, he had to find his son, his only family. Mutwo, I owe you one too. I told you I'd help. No need to thank me, Mutwo replied coldly. You should go find Aizen. His Mutwo, it's your kin, isn't it? Giovanni smiled softly. Mutwo said nothing. The battle for Saffron may have ended, but the aftermath had only just begun. The damage, especially around Sylph Company, was enormous. The place was in ruins and would need a full rebuild. Yes, the Kanto League had won. Team Rocket's forces had been almost completely annihilated. But Agatha and the others knew the truth. They won, but not completely. Lance had already left. The fight had shaken him deeply. He'd stared the Rocket boss in the face and couldn't defeat him. Worse yet, he was overpowered in their one-on-one. That humiliation burned inside him. He would get his own legendary. He swore it. Is Lance going to be okay? Lorelei asked, concerned. She knew him well. That battle had hurt him, badly. She didn't even know where he'd gone. He'll figure it out, Agatha said, her voice raspy and dark. He's not lacking in talent. Just a legendary. Lorelei adjusted her glasses and nodded. That was it. Lance wasn't worse than Giovanni, he just lacked the same kind of monster on his team. If he had one, he wouldn't have lost. You've all worked hard. Chairman Goodshow has arranged a celebration at Indigo Plateau. Agatha turned to the champions with a smile. The result wasn't ideal, but there was nothing else to be done. We barely helped at all. Honestly, it's embarrassing, Steven sighed, laughing bitterly. They got wrecked by Aizen, no sugarcoating it. It's not your fault. If anything, I should take the blame. I miscalculated. Badly. Agatha shook her head. If she hadn't insisted on holding off Aizen and sent Dylan to handle Giovanni alone, this never would have happened. If the roles had been reversed, they could have won. Even Giovanni wouldn't have been able to take on that many champions at once. But they'd learned the hard way, legendary Pokemon from ancient myths were on a whole different level. Aizen's a total freak. And a twisted one, too. Blue shuddered just thinking about it. That guy's messed up in the head. Rayquaza and Mega Mutwo, why, could anyone raise a Pokemon strong enough to face them? Blue doubted it. He'd always believed in his own genius, but even he couldn't imagine how he'd train something to match that. If only I'd found Aizen sooner. Dylan sighed. Yeah, he'd finally switched back with Leaf during that bathroom break. Let's not dwell on it. Come on, everyone, let's head back to Indigo Plateau. The Saffron battle was finally over. The Kanto League quickly issued a public statement. The commotion had been far too massive to hide. Team Rocket was gone completely. And the people of Kanto cheered. After more than 10 years of domination, Team Rocket, the greatest cancer on the region, had been purged. No wonder the people rejoiced. At Indigo Plateau, Chairman Goodshow personally welcomed Cynthia and the others. After all, they had come to help Kanto in its time of need. The food was lavish, but the mood was subdued. After dinner, most of the champions went off to rest. The battle had been exhausting. Dylan took Lily to a fruit shop, and then somewhere special. Royal flush. All of you owe me laundry duty for a month.
The smug voice floated down the hall.
No way. Another royal flush? You're so cheating, Will. This is rigged. No one's that lucky. I must agree. Deeply suspicious. What's your problem? Can't handle losing?
Dylan reached the holding cell and looked inside. Will, Archer, Petrol, and Koga were playing cards.
And from the looks of it, not going well for three of them. Hey everyone. Looks like you're enjoying yourselves in here, huh? Dylan smiled brightly.
The whole room went quiet.
It's been a while. Miss me?
He glanced over at Proton in the corner writing in his journal, and Ariana shadowboxing nearby.
Ariana, especially, she was ripped now. What was that about? Dylan? What do you want?
Proton dropped his pen and frowned.
Just visiting. Brought you a little something. Dylan raised the fruit basket with a grin. You being generous? Archer scoffed. Not buying it. What a thing to say.
Proton, Archer, I've always considered you dear friends.
Dylan shrugged innocently. You son of. Seeing the other's expressions, Archer's face darkened. You mean dear friends you arrested? Dylan, how many times have you thrown me in here?
I just couldn't bear to watch my friends walk the wrong path forever.
You needed some cleansing time. This way, you can turn over a new leaf.
Dylan let out a deep, compassionate sigh. Just say what you came to say, Proton groaned, already tired of his nonsense. Today in Saffron City, the league crushed Team Rocket. Kanto Rocket is finished. Their expressions changed instantly except Will, who just shrugged.
That's impossible. Proton snapped. Nothing impossible about it.
The 4 elites plus multiple champion-class trainers, Rocket didn't stand a chance.
Dylan smiled. Though, I do have some good news for you. Giovanni got away.
As expected, that got a visible sigh of relief from Proton and the others.
I suggest you let the past go. Start over, you still have a chance. No one answered. I'll drop by again sometime. Dylan, when are you arresting Char? Ariana suddenly asked.
She'd been training for months, waiting to beat that little guy up.
The others lit up at the name. They couldn't stand him either. I haven't been to Giotto yet. But there's always a chance. Dylan raised an eyebrow. If Char did get tossed in here, would Ariana kill him? Eh? They were all high-ranking rockets. They'd manage. Elsewhere. The Indigo Conference is about to start. Time for me to show the world what I'm made of. Blue stood proudly, gazing at the stadium. Red, I'm gonna beat you this time. Win the whole thing. Become Kanto champion. Then challenge Dylan and win my second badge. Blue's tone burned with determination. Red. He said all that right in front of him. What a troll. Red rolled his eyes. Blue had been just as smug when Dylan gave him a badge for free. He turned to leave only for his phone to buzz. It was a message from an unknown number. A bunch of image files. Red opened them and froze. Blue. What? Blue turned and saw Red looking at him with an expression that was strange. Grim. Almost traumatized. You owe me new eyes. Red felt dirty. He could never look at Blue the same way again. But, if he looked closely, Blue's cross-dressing was actually kind of cute? What the hell are you babbling about? Blue frowned. Your dress kinda suits you.
Red, ever honest, said it plainly.
Blue? Rying. Blue's phone rang. Hello? Grandpa? Blue.
Professor Oak's voice was soft.
Hesitant.
I know you young people have your own preferences, and I'm not a narrow-minded man, but
Never mind. If you really want to become a girl, I suppose I can accept a granddaughter. Blue blinked. What? Chapter 278, Greatest of the Masters. I understand. Eisen. In the league president's office, Goodshow rubbed his temples with a sigh. The Saffron City battle may have ended in victory for the league, that much was expected. Goodshow never doubted the league would overcome Team Rocket. But what he hadn't expected was that all 4 of Rocket's champion-level members had escaped. Dylan, do you believe you can defeat Eisen? Goodshow had already heard Agatha's report on the battle. And facing criminals as powerful as Eisen and the Rocket Boss? It was troublesome, no doubt. I'm confident. But if he wants to run, I can't stop him unless he's ready to fight me head-on. Dylan shook his head. Unless we prepare a full-scale trap in advance, there's no stopping him. Rayquaza is fast, and it even knows extreme speed. Trying to catch him is too difficult. I see. Goodshow nodded in understanding. President, what about Lance? Dylan frowned slightly. He hadn't seen Lance since the battle, not even at the celebration banquet. We've lost contact with him. He's probably furious that Giovanni got away. Goodshow sighed again. Lance could be intense. This loss likely shook him deeply. He wasn't worried about Lance's safety, very few could hurt someone like him. What worried him was that Lance might go too far. He's always hated evil. That's just who he is, Dylan nodded. In any case, I'll continue issuing warrants for Eisen and the rest. Dylan, if you happen to locate them, we may need your help again. No problem. Honestly, I didn't do much this time. I feel a little ashamed. Don't be. Actually, Dylan, we've been discussing something else with the other league chairs from different regions. Goodshow smiled warmly and handed over a document. We're planning to launch the first ever World Championship. The World Championship? Lily blinked in surprise. Yes. The idea came from Chairman Rose of Gaylor. I thought it was meaningful, so we've been working on it behind the scenes. Now it's been approved in principle. We're aiming to kick it off next year. A competition on a global scale, Dylan raised an eyebrow as he flipped through the file. Sure enough, it resembled what he remembered. The World Championship, a tournament open to trainers from all over the world. Until now, the largest events were regional leagues. But those were local by nature, and couldn't really be compared across regions. This was different. The World Championship was created to determine who truly was the strongest trainer in the world. In the anime, Ash became world champion by climbing the ranks of this very tournament. Though technically, that wasn't the first championship, its origins go back as far as Black and White 2, where even Giovanni participated as a trainer. That's right. I imagine it'll interest you, Dylan. After all, isn't your goal to make the Rota Gym known worldwide? Goodshow smiled. If it's Dylan, he'll definitely become the world's strongest. Lily declared with pride. Ha ha. I agree. Goodshow laughed joyfully. My Dylan, invincible in all the world. This is open to everyone, Goodshow continued. Any trainer can register, even champions. It's a truly global competition. We'll be using a ranking system at first to determine qualifications. Later on, we'll narrow it down to the top-ranking trainers and host the final rounds to decide the ultimate champion. There was no way they could host a standard tournament, there were just too many trainers worldwide. But a ranked format? Simple and effective. Beat those ranked above you, rise up the list. Strength would decide everything. It's a fair system, Dylan nodded. A straightforward meritocracy. Exactly. We'll release a preliminary ranking list soon. The top 8 will be named the Masters 8. Dylan, would you like to be on that list? Goodshow asked with a smile. The league would be setting the first list themselves. Of course, regional champions would be included, after all, they represented the pride of their regions. But Goodshow wanted to put Dylan on that list.
Even if others protested, he was ready to fight for it.
Because Kanto's very own gym leader Dylan is the strongest in the world. Don't like it? Come and beat Res Hiram, then. Would that be appropriate? Dylan raised an eyebrow. Shouldn't the first Masters 8 list only include current regional champions?
Otherwise, it might look like an insult to a region's own champion. This world values power above titles, Goodshow replied.
With your strength, even if we list you as number 1, so what? Even Lance wouldn't object. And if the others don't like it, let them come challenge you. Lily nodded enthusiastically. Yes, her brother should absolutely be number 1.
Then I'll leave it to your discretion.
I don't mind, Dylan said. He was planning to enter anyway. Becoming world champion? A good way to boost his gym's fame.
And truthfully, this world's championship was shaping up to be insanely competitive. Aside from the known champions, Dylan had already met so many protagonists. Red, blue, Celine, yellow, silver, Gloria, May.
A literal generation of main characters all showing up? This wasn't a tournament. It was war.
And he hadn't even seen Go or Chloe from Gaylor, or Callum and Serena from the games, from Kalos, or Lucas and Dawn from Sinnoh yet. If silver was here, gold, Ethan, was probably around too.
Once the tournament started, the Masters 8 slots would be bloodbath worthy. Dear Arceus, this was going to be amazing. Next year, Dylan, you'll be a global legend.
Goodshow said proudly. Of course he was excited.
Kanto was the region, the best in the world. Who dared to disagree? Disagree? Beat Lance. Beat Lance? Then beat Dylan.
Besides, Agatha had told him all about Red and Blue, those two prodigies from Pallet Town.
Already at champion level despite just beginning their journeys. Absolutely incredible. Your apprentice, Celine, is amazing too.
I heard from Blaine that she defeated his full team, Goodshow added with a sip of tea. She was the real deal. She'd only been traveling for a month, and she went to Cinnabar and beat Blaine's main team.
Celine really is like that, Dylan said proudly. You've trained her well.
No, President, don't get the wrong idea.
I only taught her Pokemon theory. The rest? Not me. Goodshow blinked. You'll understand eventually, Dylan sighed.
Who would have guessed the sweet-looking, elegant girl would speak like a street thug, calling herself your boy Celine?
After chatting a bit more, Dylan and Lily left the league building. Outside, they ran into Cynthia and the others. Dylan, there you are. Stephen waved with a smile. Not resting more? Dylan asked, noticing they looked a lot better now.
An hour of lying down is a luxury, Gita said with a soft smile.
Since we're here in Kanto, we wanted to look around more. After the battle in Saffron, everyone had grown much closer. Gita was graceful and elegant in every movement.
As both champion and chairperson of Paldea's league, she bore a double burden and lived as a shining example to all her region's trainers.
Actually, I've been curious, Champion Gita, how do you find time to visit Kanto? Dylan grinned. Paldea's league was notoriously intense.
Everyone there seemed overworked. Even the calm, stoic Brassius was secretly a workaholic.
I managed to carve out a few days. Besides, I wanted to learn from Kanto.
Consider it a working vacation, Gita replied with a smile.
I see. Then, would you all like to visit Rhoda Town? Dylan invited them with a smile. Of course. We've been meaning to. Wallace's eyes lit up.
He'd been curious about Dylan's gym for a while.
An honor. Then let's go.
They each summoned a flying Pokemon and soared toward Rhoda Town.
Not far from Indigo Plateau. Upon arrival, Dylan gave them a short tour of the area before heading back to the gym. Gym leader. You're back.
I was just about to call you, the front desk girl greeted them.
What is it? Well, there's a strong challenger waiting. Super pretty, too.
She said someone referred her, and she'd like to battle you. The receptionist glanced at Cynthia and the others curiously but kept talking.
Did Silver and Yellow lose too? They did. Even Silver lost. I see. Dylan raised an eyebrow.
Silver might not be top tier yet, but he wasn't weak either. Beating him meant this challenger was definitely strong.
And she was referred by someone? Sorry, everyone.
I'll need to step away to handle this challenger, Dylan said apologetically.
No worries.
It's your job as a gym leader, Steven replied. Honestly, I'm curious to see how you handle challengers.
Rota Gym's reputation in Kanto was impressive if a bit eccentric. Yeah, don't worry about us, Cynthia added with a smile.
Lily, please serve some tea for our guests, Dylan nodded, then followed the receptionist toward the waiting room. Outside the room, Dylan spotted a girl with extravagant long blonde hair, calmly sipping tea. A white-pink round hat perched atop her head.
That hair. Dylan raised an eyebrow. Miss Caitlin, the gym leader has returned, the receptionist announced. Oh? He's back already?
The elegant young woman turned, revealing a delicate face and sapphire blue eyes that fixed on Dylan.
A pleasure to meet you, Leader Dylan. I've heard much about you. I'm Caitlin of Sinnoh.
She rose gracefully, long hair cascading like a waterfall, and curtsied with poise.
She wore a form-fitting white and pink dress, highlighting her slim figure and elegant aura. Hello, Miss Caitlin. One of Unova's Elite Four, what brings you here?
Dylan studied her with interest. He recognized her, of course. She was not only a powerful psychic-type specialist but also a gifted psychic herself. Before becoming a member of Unova's Elite Four, she was one of the frontier brains in Sinnoh. But due to her unstable psychic powers, she had once relied on her butler, Dirac, to battle for her. Seeking to hone herself, she left for Unova and became Elite Four. Alder spoke very highly of you.
Said you were a remarkable trainer, the one who captured the White Dragon and defeated Team Plasma.
Caitlin's voice was clear and melodic, her eyes shining as she looked at Dylan. I admire strength greatly. So when Champion Alder approved my request, I came to Kanto specifically to challenge you.
Dylan blinked.
But yes, that tracked. Despite her appearance as a refined heiress, well, she was one. She was wealthy enough to own villas worldwide. But she was also competitive to a fault. Her unstable emotions and psychic power had once gotten her banned from official matches.
But after training in Unova, she'd matured.
And now, she longed for one thing, a true, high-level battle.
I see.
Well, as the leader of Rota Gym, I never turned down a challenge.
Dylan smiled and nodded.
And come to think of it, she was close friends with Cynthia.
Caitlin had even offered Cynthia free use of her villas.
Yes, he should send her a picture of Cynthia and Gita later.
Chapter 279, Come Experience. Caitlin? Cynthia? As Dylan and Caitlin entered the main hall, Cynthia immediately recognized the elegant young woman standing before her. Caitlin also seemed quite surprised to see Cynthia. It's been a while, Caitlin. What brings you to Kanto? Cynthia approached her with delight.
Ever since Caitlin had headed to Unova, it had been quite some time since they last saw each other. I came here specifically to challenge Leader Dylan, Caitlin said with a faint smile.
I see. But Dylan is really strong.
You'll need to be careful, Cynthia replied, not looking the least bit surprised, but rather offering a friendly warning.
Stronger than you? In Caitlin's mind, Cynthia was the pinnacle. Even Champion Alder didn't compare in her opinion. And she called him just Dylan? Was their relationship that close? Caitlin was curious. Me? Cynthia glanced over at Dylan and gave a wry smile. I'm nowhere near his level. Caitlin blinked in disbelief. Dylan is very powerful, Steven said with a laugh. But he adjusts his team to match the challenger's strength, so don't worry. Indeed, Caitlin, let's see which type you'll be facing, Dylan said, gesturing to the large roulette wheel. All right. Caitlin walked over and examined the roulette with interest. Choosing your opponent's type with a spin of a wheel, what a fascinating approach. Oh? Water type's been added? Wallace's eyes sparkled as he noticed the aqua blue segment on the wheel. Dylan, have you finished training your water team? As a water type specialist, Wallace was deeply invested in the beauty and strength of the type. Unfortunately, while he had proven water types could reach champion tier, pushing beyond that had proven difficult. But Dylan could elevate water types even further. They're ready for battle now, Dylan said with a warm smile. Geeta curiously observed the roulette. As expected from leader Dylan, so many types under his command. Is it this button here, leader Dylan? Caitlin asked. Yes, go ahead, Miss Caitlin. Caitlin pressed the button. The wheel began to spin rapidly, the pointer whirling around. Soon, it slowed, finally stopping on the aqua blue section representing the water type. Yes! Wallace cheered. He'd finally get to see Dylan's approach to water types. Water type? Caitlin contemplated. Water was one of the most common types, with a wide pool of Pokémon. Compared to other types, it was more straightforward, no strange gimmicks, just raw versatility. With the type decided, Dylan and Caitlin entered the battle arena and took their places. The audience, including Cynthia, Silver, Yellow, and now returned Leaf, who had arrived to act as referee, took their seats. We now begin the Rota Gym Challenge. The challenger is Caitlin, hailing from Sinnoh. Battle format is 4 vs 4. Leader Dylan will send out first and may not switch Pokémon. The challenge is successful once all 4 of his Pokémon are defeated. Battle start. Leaf announced the rules with professional clarity and stepped out of the arena. On the screen above, the scoreboard lit up with portraits of Dylan and Caitlin. I wonder how many of Dylan's water types Caitlin can defeat, Steven mused, resting his chin on his hand. She'll be lucky to take down 2, Wallace said, shaking his head. Even if they're newly trained, Dylan's water team is probably already incredible. She'll do well just to avoid a sweep, said a new voice from behind them. Oh? Wallace turned and spotted 3 familiar figures. It was the trio of the older lady, the bird keeper, and the psychic, the last of whom had spoken. We know Dylan's gym all too well, the psychic said confidently. The new types he adds are always the hardest to beat because there's no existing strategy to counter them yet. On the field. Miss Caitlin, since this is your first challenge at Rota Gym, allow me to formally introduce myself. Dylan loosened the collar of his black shirt, adjusted it slightly, and smiled. I'm Dylan, leader of the Rota Gym. Today I'll be using a water type team. Do you understand water types, Miss Caitlin? They are quite special. They can be as gentle and pure as a still ocean, soothing and cleansing the soul. But when needed, they can become surging waves, fierce and overwhelming, sweeping away any who stand against them. So please, allow yourself to fully experience the beauty of water-type Pokémon. With a graceful motion, Dylan donned a pair of black gloves and released an Ultra Ball. I look forward to it, Caitlin said with a composed smile, her sapphire eyes sparkling. Then my first partner will be Pelipper, into battle. With a flash of white light, a white and blue bird Pokémon flapped its wings and landed before Dylan. Its massive yellow beak took up most of its body. It was none other than Pelipper, evolved from Wingull. Deep Pelipper. Water/flying type. Water bird Pokémon. Ability, Drizzle. Moves, Hurricane, Roost, Tailwind, Protect, U-Turn, Surf, Blizzard. Info, flies just above the ocean surface, scooping up food and seawater alike with its large beak. Pelipper, huh? Wallace went into deep thought. Using Pelipper as the lead, was it for setting up rain? After all, Pelipper wasn't exactly high tier. Dylan likely intended to start with weather control. A water/flying type, Caitlin murmured as she tossed a pokeball wrapped in a blue aura. Masharna, let's go. A dreamy, lavender-hued Pokémon floated before her, its eyes gently opening as it gazed at Pelipper. Deep Masharna. Psychic type. Drowsing Pokémon. Ability, Synchronize. Moves: Hypnosis, Dream Eater, Moonblast, Psychic, Yawn, Charge Beam. Info: can solidify the dreams it consumes.
The mist from its forehead can turn into shapes seen in dreams.
Strong, no doubt a 4 elite trainer's Pokemon. Lily looked at the Pokédex's data in awe. Not only was Caitlin beautiful, her Pokemon were powerful, too. Musharna, huh? Dylan nodded. Nicely trained.
Polyper. The bird spread its wings with a cry.
Blue light shimmered from its body as storm clouds gathered overhead. Heavy rain began to fall. Drizzle had activated.
Since you're the challenger, Miss Caitlin, you may take the first move, Dylan offered with a smile.
Then I won't hold back. Musharna, use Psychic. Caitlin opted to test Polyper's strength first. Blue psychic light gleamed in Musharna's eyes, surrounding Polyper in an attempt to paralyze and control it.
Polyper struggled against the pressure.
Musharna was finding it hard to hold the bird still. Hydro Pump, Dylan said calmly.
Polyper opened its massive beak and launched a powerful blast of water.
Dodge! Caitlin responded immediately.
Musharna wasn't fast, but with psychic power to levitate, it dodged the uncharged hydro pump easily.
Polyper closed the distance.
The bird flapped hard, charging toward Musharna. Musharna, fall back, Caitlin countered.
She didn't care what kind of melee Polyper was planning.
Musharna floated back as fast as it could, but Polyper was already upon it.
Musharna, yawn. Hypnosis could be dodged, but yawn? That was different. U-turn. Dylan gave a small smile. Caitlin's eyes widened.
Musharna yawned, a puff of white vapor wafting toward Polyper. The bird inhaled it, already marked to fall asleep. But its glowing teal body slammed into Musharna at the same time.
A bug-type U-turn. Musharna gave a pained grunt, pushed back slightly by the hit.
Bug beat Psychic, but Polyper's attack stat was mediocre, so the damage was only average.
But
after hitting, Polyper returned to its ball in a flash of light.
U-turn's effect: switch out after attacking. Miss Caitlin really got outplayed, Geeta said with a sigh. Polyper set the rain, landed a clean hit, and got away scot-free. Makes sense. Polyper was just the weather setter.
Now comes the real offense, Wallace said with satisfaction.
He was taking notes, he was definitely copying this team.
He had raised a Polyper before, but found it underwhelming.
And the 4x weakness to electric really hurt.
Gyarados had the same weakness, but Gyarados was just that good.
Milotic, to the field. Dylan sent out his second Pokemon.
With a graceful cry, a large, elegant sea serpent Pokemon appeared in front of Dylan as the rain poured down. Cream-colored scales, long gray-blue brows, sapphire eyes, and a tail of gleaming black and gold. It was his shiny Milotic. The dazzling creature coiled slightly, tail swaying elegantly, a calm, serene beauty radiated from it.
Oh, such breathtaking beauty! Wallace clutched Steven's arm, visibly emotional. Steven, look! That's the descendant of my Milotic. Yeah, but it's Dylan's now, Steven muttered, rolling his eyes. Shiny Milotic, how beautiful, Cynthia said, eyes glowing.
She also had a Milotic on her team, but there was something extra about the shiny one's aura.
Oh? Is this Milotic descended from your ace, Wallace? Geeta asked with surprise. Yes.
Dylan wanted to raise a water team, so I entrusted him with a shiny Phoeba, Wallace said proudly.
And didn't Dylan give you that Pokemon called Iron Bundle? Cynthia teased. How's that going?
Well, Wallace's face turned a little strange.
What can I say? It's exactly what you'd expect from something Dylan gave me. Once it's fully trained, it might replace my ace.
He'd always said strength was for the unrefined.
He was a master of beauty and elegance.
But after training Iron Bundle for a while, he had to admit, nothing else on his team could match it in power. How could something that looked like a Christmas penguin be so utterly broken? He felt guilty, even toward his beloved Milotic.
But if he were being honest? Iron Bundle was probably going to be his new ace. Chapter 280, Go for it. What a beautiful Milotic. Caitlin couldn't help but praise Dylan's shiny Milotic. Its graceful and noble aura truly matched the ideal image of beauty.
It's not just beautiful, my Milotic is strong too, Dylan replied warmly with a gentle smile.
Milotic, surf. Milotic let out a melodious cry.
Its creamy, jewel-like body shimmered with a deep ocean blue light.
Splash.
A massive wave surged forth from nowhere, carrying Milotic as it swept toward Masharna.
The heavy rain continued to pour down.
In this weather, water-type moves were even more powerful. The sheer momentum behind surf was overwhelming.
Psychic.
Caitlin called, her expression solemn.
Masharna's eyes glowed a deep blue, unleashing a wave of colorful psychic energy to clash against the oncoming surf.
The two moves collided with a roar, but it quickly became clear that Psychic was being overpowered.
It couldn't hold. Caitlin realized it instantly, just as surf smashed through the Psychic and crashed down on Masharna. The powerful current slammed into Masharna, knocking it down and soaking it completely. Hydro Pump. Dylan followed up immediately. Milotic slithered forward like a serpent, its mouth gathering a concentrated glow of water energy. Masharna, Charge Beam. Caitlin responded without hesitation.
Masharna rose slightly, crackling with yellow electricity, then fired a beam straight at Milotic.
Electric versus water.
Hydro Pump and Charge Beam fired at almost the same time and passed each other mid-air.
Boom!
The electric beam struck Milotic, sending sparks flying across its body.
Milotic winced, it hurt. But Masharna was also blasted backward by Hydro Pump and hit the ground hard. Trading blows? Is that wise? Stephen furrowed his brow.
It's raining, after all. Water moves are buffed, and Milotic's special defense is exceptional, he added.
As Wallace's ace, Stephen was more than familiar with Milotic's stats. Sure, electric beats water, but in the rain, water moves hit harder, and Milotic's bulk made it a tough nut to crack. Stephen himself had to bring out Agrin and Metagross to muscle past Wallace's Milotic. Caitlin's probably just testing the waters, Cynthia mused. Masharna had solid special defense too. But in this rain?
Hydro Pump hit harder than Charge Beam by a wide margin.
It wasn't a good trade.
On the field, Milotic closed the gap again, moving with surprising speed, drawing near to Masharna.
Masharna, yawn. Caitlin tried to slow the momentum. She knew by now that trading hits with Milotic wasn't ideal, at least not while the rain persisted. Dragon Dance. Dylan's lips curved upward.
Masharna yawned at Milotic, but the serpent surged forward and began to dance around it. Milotic's long body coiled centrally around Masharna, dancing in a mysterious, serpentine rhythm. Like a graceful sea maiden, it twirled around the psychic Pokémon.
If this were Gardevoir instead of Masharna, they probably wouldn't be allowed to show this scene on TV. That's how he uses Dragon Dance? Dylan's got guts, Wallace muttered, stunned. He's literally dancing in the opponent's face.
Blue mystic light shimmered over Milotic's body, Dragon Dance boosting its speed and physical attack.
Masharna, Psychic. Caitlin snapped back into focus, ordering a counterattack. Masharna's eyes flashed, but Milotic was faster.
It suddenly wrapped its body tightly around Masharna, squeezing hard with bind. Masharna groaned, its attempt to cast Psychic interrupted.
Masharna. Caitlin's brow furrowed. Hydro Pump. Still binding its opponent, Milotic began charging water energy in its mouth. Masharna finally forced out a full-powered Psychic, slamming Dylan's Pokémon in the face.
Milotic hissed and released its grip, but the Hydro Pump still fired, slamming Masharna into the ground. Drenched and battered, Masharna was clearly in bad shape. It had already taken a U-turn from Pelipper earlier.
Masharna, return.
Sensing it was in danger, Caitlin reached for its Pokeball to recall it.
Flip turn. Dylan didn't let up. Milotic surrounded itself with water energy and slammed into Masharna again, then returned to its ball in a flash. Water-type flip turn. Like U-turn, it swapped Dylan's Pokemon after landing the hit.
The impact was the final straw. Musharna fainted on the spot.
Musharna is unable to battle. Milotic wins, Leaf announced clearly. Caitlin, still holding the Pokeball, stared at her fallen Pokemon.
Her eyes shimmered faintly with psychic blue energy, her chest rising and falling. But after a few seconds, she regained her composure and silently recalled Musharna.
Leader Dylan doesn't leave any openings, does he? Geeta chuckled softly.
Everyone had noticed Caitlin trying to recall her Pokemon at the end.
Caitlin, she's really grown, Cynthia said with a gentle smile.
If this had been the Caitlin of old, she would have lost control of her psychic powers from frustration. But now, she was calm.
She'd truly matured during her time in Unova.
Cynthia had always known Caitlin had incredible talent, and her psychic powers were natural gifts. But her weak will and lack of emotional control were always her flaws. If she could master that, she'd improve tremendously.
Dylan adjusts his team for challengers, but in battle, he doesn't pull punches, Steven agreed. He fought Wallace the same way. He's the one who made Wallace retire? Geeta blinked. She'd heard of Wallace's retirement, but not who caused it.
Please, don't believe such nonsense.
Wallace's fair face darkened in exasperation. Cynthia chuckled. Steven gave his friend a judging look.
Technically, I just gave the champion title back to Steven, Wallace insisted.
Besides, I earned Dylan's respect, look at this. He proudly raised his wrist, showing off a shiny Rhoda badge.
Geeta looked at the intricate badge with interest.
Give me a break.
If you didn't get that match, you'd still be champion, Steven scoffed.
And you have the nerve to flaunt that badge? You only beat Dylan's Slaking.
You're just jealous.
Think you could do better? How many of Dylan's Pokemon can you beat?
Wallace challenged.
I'd have a better win record than you, that's for sure. Steven rubbed his chin.
He wasn't saying he'd definitely win, but he wouldn't end up only beating one Pokemon like Wallace.
Yeah, we'll see about that, Wallace grumbled. What if you get matched against his legendaries? On the field. Polyper. Dylan tossed out Polyper again.
As expected from you, Leader Dylan.
Caitlin admired his strategy. According to gym rules, the leader couldn't switch Pokemon mid-battle, but moves like Flip Turn weren't restricted. Dylan had mastered the loophole. Let's see how you respond, Miss Caitlin.
He smiled politely.
I think I've figured it out. Caitlin's next Pokeball floated out with psychic energy. Galade.
A humanoid Pokemon with a green torso and white legs appeared, raising its arm like a blade. It had a calm, sharp aura.
Galade Ralt's other final evolution. Beep Galade. Psychic/fighting type. Blade Pokemon. Ability, Steadfast.
Moves, Quick Guard, Sacred Sword, Leaf Blade, Swords Dance, Aerial Ace, Night Slash, Slash.
Info, battles with retractable elbow blades.
A master of sword techniques.
Values chivalry and honor. Caitlin's team is impressive, Leaf remarked.
This Galade was clearly stronger than Musharna. And after what happened earlier, Caitlin was clearly countering Milotic directly.
Milotic's physical defense was its weakness. Polyper. Dylan eyed the Galade and immediately understood Caitlin's game plan.
Polyper squawked, activating Drizzle again and renewing the heavy downpour.
U-turn. Swords Dance.
Galade let out a low growl as its blades glowed sharply, power increasing with each spin.
U-turn landed, but Galade took the hit and stayed standing. Polyper returned to its Pokeball. Milotic's not a good match here, Wallace said. Galade's physical and bulky.
With Swords Dance up, it's even worse for Milotic.
Yeah, I wonder which water-type Dylan will send out next, Cynthia nodded. On the field, Dylan pulled out another Ultra Ball. Golisopod, into battle. With a heavy thud, a large teal Pokemon landed on the field, glaring coldly at Galade. It was heavily armored, resembling a massive, bipedal isopod.
Its massive claws gleamed threateningly. This was Golisopod evolved from Vimpod.
Another one of Dylan's newly raised water types. Beep Golisopod.
Bug/water type.
Armor Pokemon. Ability, Emergency Exit.
Moves, First Impression, Liquidation, Swords Dance, Pin Missile, Razor Shell, Sucker Punch, Aqua Jet. Info, with massive claws, it can slice through air and water alike with a single slash. Golisopod?
Wallace blinked in surprise. He'd studied it before.
Aside from its intimidating looks, Golisopod was a fantastic physical attacker with solid defenses. Its only flaw was its ability. Emergency Exit. When its HP drops too low, it forcibly retreats into its Pokeball. Sometimes that saved it. Other times, it ruined the perfect moment for a finishing blow.
Let's go, Miss Caitlin. Show me what your Galate can do against my Golisopod.
Dylan extended a hand toward her with a smile. If she wanted close combat,
he'd give her close combat. And Golisopod?
Was no easy opponent. It was much more dangerous than Milotic when it came to direct brawling. That wraps up this part of What If Transmigrated as a Kanto gym leader.
Thanks so much for listening.
As always, new parts drop every 4 days, so be sure to stay tuned. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and please consider supporting the original author as well.
See you in the next one.